I came home to find my entire family in my apartment, going through my mail. My father had a stack of my bank statements spread across my kitchen table. "We're doing an intervention," my mother announced, arms crossed. "You've been selfish with your money, and we need to discuss your spending." My sister Nora was literally wearing my bathrobe, eating my food. I asked who gave them a key. My mama held it up and smiled. "Baby, I've always had one. Now sit down so we can talk about this attitude." The smell of leftover fried fish and lemon fabuloso hit me at the same time as the scene, like they had moved into my life without asking. The ceiling fan hummed over my little living room, pushing around warm New Orleans air, and all the disrespect sitting in it. My name, Simone, was on every envelope they had torn open like they were unwrapping gifts. I dropped my work bag by the door, still in my Navy scrubs badge hanging, and tried to keep my voice from shaking. "Why are y'all going through my mail?" I asked each word slow. My daddy sucked his teeth and gave me that up and down look like I was the child. His skin was deep mahogany, his hairline pushed back under an old saint's cap, judgment sitting heavy on his face. "You out here hiding money," he said. "All these direct deposits, all this overtime, and your mama telling me you told her you tight on cash. Make it make sense, Simone." Mama adjusted her floral church dress like she was at Bible study, not in my house, violating my privacy. The scent of cocoa butter floated off her as she shifted in my chair like it belonged to her. "You got a good job at that medical center," she said, sliding one of my statements across the table with a dish towel still in her hand. "You just don't like helping family unless it's on your terms." Nora laughed around a mouthful of my leftover shrimp and grits, the spoon clinking against my bowl. Her skin was a smooth caramel, hair in a high messy puff with edges laid to perfection, feet up on my ottoman in fuzzy socks I bought her for Christmas. "Girl, relax," she said. "We just trying to see where all that money going. You act like we strangers." Heat crawled up the back of my neck. I could still hear my supervisor's voice from earlier that day, praising me for balancing payroll down to the penny. I lived on precision, order, boundaries. Yet here were the three people who raised me, acting like my life was a community pantry. "Give me my mail," I said quietly. "Now." Daddy chuckled low and mean. "See? This what I'm talking about, Linda," he said to my mother, not even looking at me. "She get a little degree, a little job. Now she thinks she better than the folks that fed her." That word "fed" hit me in the chest because I knew exactly how many groceries I had bought for them this year alone. Still I swallowed it. "Y'all need help, you ask me," I said. "You don't sneak in here and go through my business." Mama rolled her eyes and sat up straighter, arms still crossed like a judge. "We did ask you," she said. "About that light bill, about your daddy's truck note, about Nora needing first month's rent. You said you had to check your budget, like we one of your little coworkers." She spit the word like it was dirty. "So now we checking it with you." My heart started beating so hard I could feel it behind my eyes. In my head I saw my budget spreadsheet, color-coded, rent in yellow, parents' bills in green, Nora's emergencies in pink. I saw how close I was to overdrafting every month. "I pay my bills," I said. "I pay more than my share of y'all's bills too." Nora sucked her teeth. "You dramatic," she muttered. "You act like you some benefactor. It's family." That word family sounded like a trap. I could hear gospel humming from the apartment next door, somebody cleaning on a weekday like it was Saturday morning. The normal sound of the building felt far away from the chaos in my living room. I took a breath, tasted salt and grease from the air, and made a choice that split my life clean in half. "Put everything with my name on it back in that basket," I said. "And get out." Daddy's eyes narrowed. "You putting us out?" he asked, leaning back in my chair like a king on a throne he hadn't paid for. "After all we did?" Mama shook her head slowly, giving me that disappointed church lady look. "You really gone talk to us like some strangers off the street?" "God not pleased, Simone." Nora laughed again, louder this time, clapping her hands once for emphasis. "You tried it," she said. "You no good, and well you not gone put your own mama out. Stop performing." Her confidence made my stomach drop, because she was right. They all knew it. They knew my patterns better than I did. I stared at the table, at my own bank balance in black and white, and for a second I saw another version of me. The one who smiled and said, "Okay, I'll help this last time." The one who reached for her wallet while biting her tongue. That version had always won. This time, my spirit twisted like it heard a warning. "Give me my mail," I repeated, voice rougher now. Mama stood up slow, the plastic runners on my floor crinkling under her heels. She walked over to my counter, picked up my spare key from the little dish by the sink, and dangled it between two fingers. "You gave me this when you first moved in," she said. "You said, 'Mama, just in case something happened, you can always get to me.'" She smiled, syrupy sweet and sharp at the same time. "Well, something happened, baby. We drowning. And instead of throwing us a lifeline, you out here talking about boundaries." She dropped the key into her purse with a soft clink that sounded way too final. "We keep that," she said, "so we don't have to beg to come see our own child." My choice cracked in half. Kick them out, and I'd be the villain they painted in every family story until the end of time. Let them stay. Let them keep that key. And I'd never have a moment of peace again. Before I could speak, my phone buzzed on the counter. A text preview flashed. "Hi Simone, just confirming the auto draft increase for your parents' rent starting next month." My blood went cold. "What is this?" I demanded, snatching the phone and turning the screen around. Daddy's face didn't even twitch. "Oh that," he said. "We told the office to talk to you. You know we behind, and they like that auto pay." The room started spinning, my ribs tightening. "You gave them my number?" I asked. Mama shrugged. "You work in money," she said. "You can handle it." And just like that, the choice I thought I had shrank into something ugly. They weren't just in my apartment. They were inside my job, my accounts, my future. Any no I gave now would cost me more than an argument. It would cost me their version of love. I opened my mouth to say I couldn't do it, that the auto draft had to be cancelled, that I was done. But before I could, Nora pushed my mail aside and laid down a bright, glossy flyer. "Anyway," she said, tapping it with her nail, "I found this cute little condo near the river. They want a deposit by the end of the week. You thinking about it not gon' help me, sis." I stared at the flyer, at the rent listed in neat little numbers, and knew without a doubt that whatever decision I made right then was going to break something wide open. I didn't sleep that night. After they finally left, with my spare key still in Mama's purse and my envelopes in a messy pile, I sat on the edge of my sagging couch and listened to the building settle around me. Upstairs, somebody's TV mumbled an old R&B playlist. Down the hall, a baby cried and then quieted. In my own place, my mind ran laps around that kitchen table. I told myself I would call the leasing office in the morning and fix the auto draft. I told myself I would demand my key back at Sunday dinner. But when the sun came up and the humid air pressed against my window, I got dressed for work, wrapped my silk scarf off my hair to reveal my silk press, and put on my corporate voice instead. At the medical center, the fluorescent lights buzzed over my desk and payroll, stacks of timesheets and screens full of numbers that actually obeyed the rules. Money in, money out. Every cent accounted for. My coworker Jasmine rolled her chair over, nails long and bright, hair in a sleek bob, smelling like vanilla and shea butter. "You good, Simone?" she asked, side-eyeing the dark smudges under my eyes. "You look tired." I forced a smile. "Just a long night," I said. "Family stuff." She made a face. "Oof. Say less." Then she rolled back to her computer and started humming along to some 90s R&B playing low from her phone. I stared at the payroll screen, but what I saw was that text from the leasing office. Auto draft increase. My parents had already decided my paycheck belonged to them. At lunch, while the cafeteria smelled like overcooked vegetables and bleach, I took my phone and slipped into a quiet stairwell. I called the number in the text. The woman on the other end sounded cheerful, tapping keys in the background. "Oh yes, Miss Carter," she said. "Your parents said you were taking over the full rent now. We have your card info on file, so we just updated the amount." My stomach dropped. "From where?" I asked. "From the payment portal," she said. "The same card you've been using for the last few years. They forwarded your email confirmation and They forwarded what?" My voice echoed in the stairwell. I could see Mama in my mind, digging through old emails on her cracked tablet, using my saved logins, like my life was a folder she could open whenever she wanted. "Ma'am, I did not authorize an increase," I said, trying to keep my tone even professional. "Please revert it to the previous amount. And do not accept any changes without speaking to me directly." There was a pause, a click of keys. "We'll need a form signed from you," she said finally. "I can email it." I agreed, hung up, and leaned my head against the cool concrete wall. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a belt around it. That should have been my turning point. But by the time I got off work, after a full day of fixing other people's mistakes in the system, I was too drained to start a war at home. I picked up some fried catfish and buttery grits from the corner spot, because cooking felt like too much. When I walked into my apartment, the smell of bleach hit me first. Then I heard my mother singing along to a gospel song, voice soft and off-key, and my heart sank. They were back. The vacuum roared in the background, and my daddy's baritone rumbled over it, complaining about the saints, about the cost of gas, about everything. My living room looked different. The plastic runners I refused to have were now on my carpet, rolled out from somewhere in Mama's bag of tricks. Nora was at my counter, phone propped up, going live on social media in my kitchen, ring light reflecting off my cabinets. "Hey y'all," she said, grinning into the camera. "I'm at my sister's cute little spot. She really be holding out on us." She winked. But family got in. Something in me snapped a little. "Why are y'all here again?" I asked, voice brittle. Mama turned the vacuum off and wiped imaginary sweat from her forehead with the same dish towel. "We helping you clean," she said. "This place needed a good Saturday scrub. You know how I do." She nodded toward the speaker playing gospel on the table, the volume still low. "I brought the spirit in here." It was a Tuesday. "And we went ahead and organized those bills for you," Daddy added, nodding at a neat stack of papers now, my papers sorted into piles I didn't approve. "You too busy to keep up with everything, clearly." I put the food down slowly. "I called your landlord today," I said to them. "I told them not to change the auto draft." Mama's face hardened, the smile dropping like a mask. "You did what?" she asked. "Simone, why would you do that when you know we can't make up that difference?" Nora cut the live off, finally paying attention. "Wow," she said. "So you really just gone let them put us out?" The accusation hung heavy in the air. I tried to explain. "I am already paying your late fees, your utilities, your—" Daddy slammed his hand on the table, making the salt shaker jump. "Money is not the same as family," he said, voice booming. "We raised you. We put clothes on your back, food on your plate. You think a little rent makes us owe you now?" I flinched, my body remembering every time I'd heard some version of that line. My lips parted, but nothing came out. They saw my hesitation and moved in. "You embarrassing us, Simone," Mama said, shaking her head. "I had to tell Deacon Harris you've been busy, when we passed that offering plate and your envelope empty. Folks know you got it." "Yeah," Nora added. "And I've been telling my friends you helping me get out that raggedy apartment. Now I look stupid." My head spun. "Why you telling people what I'm doing with my money?" I asked. "'Cause you act like a secret millionaire," she snapped. "We just trying to survive." Every attempt I made to defend myself twisted into another accusation. When I pointed out I was behind on my own rent, Daddy said I needed to budget better. When I said I was stressed, Mama said, "That's just the devil trying to keep you from giving." When I mentioned my credit score dropping, Nora rolled her eyes and said, "Must be nice to have a credit score." By the time they left, after I agreed once again to help this last time, with the rent increase while the form from the landlord sat unread in my inbox, I felt hollow. The next week my own landlord slid a notice under my door about my late payment. At work, I made a mistake in payroll for the first time in years, shorting someone's check by accident. I fixed it before anyone noticed, but the shame burned. One night, the lights in my apartment flickered, then cut off completely while I was in the middle of washing dishes. The music from next door kept playing, but my place went silent. I stood there, hands in soapy water, staring at the dark window reflecting my own outline. I had paid my bill. Or at least I thought I had. Heart pounding, I grabbed my phone, used the last bit of battery and weak hallway light to pull up my account. A new charge sat there, my parents' water bill, drafted out the same day my light bill was due. I hadn't even seen the notification through all the family texts. My spiral was complete. I sat down on the plastic-covered corner of my thrifted couch, in my satin bonnet and old t-shirt, and cried the kind of quiet tears that don't even make sound. I had become overdraft in every way: bank account, body, spirit. The next morning, on my way to work with my hair pulled back and my eyes puffy, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, a clipped voice introduced herself as someone from a local charity office. She said my parents had listed me as their financial sponsor on an application. "We just need you to confirm your income and your commitment to continuing support," she said. My throat closed. "They did what?" I whispered. I agreed to meet the woman from the charity office on my lunch break, at a little coffee shop near the medical center that smelled like burnt espresso and bleach wipes. She showed up in a navy blazer, carrying a tablet and a polite smile. "Ms. Carter, thank you for seeing me," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. Her voice had that professional warmth people use when they're talking about other people's emergencies all day. "We just needed to clarify a few things about your parents' file." My hands were wrapped so tight around my paper cup that the edge crinkled. "What file?" I asked. She turned the tablet, so I could see. My parents' names were on the screen, listed as applicants for rental assistance and utility relief. Under supporting family member was my full name, my address, my job title, and my salary, down to the last dollar. A box was checked saying I agreed to provide ongoing monthly support. There was even a digital signature that looked so close to mine my stomach rolled. "They mentioned you were very involved in their finances," the woman said gently. "We try to work with the whole support system." I stared at the screen. The numbers blurred. "I did not sign this," I said. My voice sounded far away, like it belonged to somebody else. "That is not my signature." Her polite smile faltered. "Oh," she said. "Well, if that's the case, we'll need to update the file." She tapped the screen and cleared her throat. "They also forwarded some documentation. From your email, I believe." She pulled up copies of my bank statements, screenshots of transfers labeled rent, light bill, Nora car. Proof I had been paying. Proof I had been holding them up like scaffolding. "They said you were delaying payments recently," she added. "That you were rethinking your commitment." There it was, plain as day. My family had turned my generosity into part of their case, and my hesitation into evidence against me. When I left that meeting, the New Orleans heat felt heavier. Cars blared horns on Claiborne, and a second-line drumbeat floated from somewhere down the block. Life kept moving, loud and bright, while I walked back to work feeling like I had just watched my own life on a screen, and didn't like the ending. That night, we had dinner at Big Mama's old house, the so-called good room, that still smelled like old wood polish, fried chicken, and secrets. The plastic runner on the carpet crackled under my flats. The good china stayed locked in the cabinet like always, for guests who never came. Mama had cooked smothered pork chops, rice, yams glossy with sugar, cornbread in a worn cast-iron skillet. On the surface, it looked like love. My Uncle Grant sat at the far end of the table, quiet as usual, his dark skin catching the light from the chandelier, hands rough from his moving job. He watched more than he spoke. A gospel station played low on the radio in the kitchen, humming under the clink of forks. Halfway through the meal, Daddy cleared his throat. "So," he said, looking at me instead of his plate. "Charity lady said you gave her a hard time today." My fork froze. "Excuse me." "Don't play dumb, Simone," Mama said, passing cornbread without looking at me. "You showed your whole behind in that office. Talking about you didn't sign nothing, like we out here lying on you." "You did lie on me," I said, louder than I meant. The conversation around the table stopped. Even the radio seemed to drop a beat. "You used my information. My email. You signed my name." Mama sucked her teeth. "We signed for you," she said. "Same thing. You always talking about how you helping. We just made it official so we could get some extra help too. That's what family do." "Family don't forge signatures," I shot back. My hands were shaking, but I didn't put my fork down. I needed the weight. Daddy leaned forward, eyes hard. "Watch your mouth," he said. "We did what we had to do. You want us on the street?" "Nia, lounging in her chair with her phone face down for once, snorted. If you had just given me that condo deposit on time, we wouldn't even need all these programs, she said. You be acting slow, Simone. Money sitting in your account while we struggling. Something inside me split clean through. For years, I had told myself they just didn't understand how much I was doing. That if they saw the receipts, really saw them, they would stop treating me like an endless well. That night, I decided to test that theory. I pulled a thick envelope from my purse and laid it in the center of the table like a centerpiece. Since everybody wants to talk about money, I said, let's talk about it. Uncle Grant's eyes flicked to the envelope, then to me. He looked interested in a way I wasn't used to seeing. Simone, what you doing? Mama asked, voice wary. I opened the envelope. Out spilled copies I had printed at work. Bank statements, screenshots, email confirmations, notes I had scribbled in the margins. I had highlighted every transfer to them in bright yellow. This is the last few years, I said. Rent, utilities, truck notes, Nora's car, Nora's tickets, groceries, church offerings in your name. All me. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just let the paper speak. Daddy grabbed one and scanned it, his lips tightening. You keeping tally? He asked. That's nasty, Simone. That's real nasty. Mama snatched a page and gasped at a total I had circled. You making us look like users, she said. We your parents. You are users, I said. The words surprised me as much as them. The room went deadly quiet. Even the radio faded to commercial, some cheerful voice talking about back-to-school deals like we weren't detonating a bomb over Sunday dinner. You took my key. You gave my email to your landlord. You signed my name. You call places and say I'm your sponsor. Anytime I hesitate, you say I'm ungrateful. My voice shook, but I didn't back down. That's not love. That's using. Nora rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh, here we go with the therapy talk, she said. You go one time and now everybody abusive. I've been going for months, I replied, surprising even myself with the confession. And she helped me see this for what it is. That was the first time I said it out loud. I had a therapist. I had someone outside this house telling me I wasn't crazy. Mama slapped her hand on the table, jostling a glass of sweet tea. So some stranger know more about this family than us now? She demanded. That little doctor got you thinking you better than your roots? Daddy stood up so fast his chair scraped the plastic. You want to be done, Simone? He asked, leaning over the table. Be done then. Don't half-step it. We don't need your little charity or your judgment. His words should have hurt more than they did. Instead, a strange calm settled over me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was God. Maybe it was just being too tired to keep explaining myself. Okay, I said quietly. Done. For a brief moment it felt like a win. Like I had finally drawn the line I'd been circling for years. Then the trap snapped shut. 2 days later at work my supervisor called me into her office. The blinds were half closed, and the faint smell of coffee and printer ink filled the room. She gestured for me to sit. Simone, she said carefully, we received an email about you from a family member. My heart lurched. What kind of email? She turned her monitor so I could see. It was a long message sent to HR, CCing my boss and the head of the department. The sender's name was my mother's. In it, she described me as financially unstable, emotionally volatile, and abusing my position in payroll to punish my elderly parents. She said I was withholding support in retaliation, that I had problems with boundaries, and that she was concerned for the safety of patients' funds under my control. Attached were screenshots of our text arguments about money, carefully cropped to show my no without the decade of yes that came before. My stomach flipped. This is not true, I said, shooting to my feet. I would never. My supervisor held up a hand. I believe you, she said. Your record here speaks for itself. But the fact that this is happening at all. She sighed. It's messy. Messy. My whole life felt like someone had taken the neat ledger in my head and smeared ink across it. You need to handle this, she said gently. Off the clock. Whatever is going on with your family, you have to get it under control. Because if they keep sending messages like this. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. My job, my one safe place, was now another battlefield my parents had invaded, using my own narrative against me. I left that office on shaky legs, walked into the restroom, and stared at myself in the mirror. Bronze skin dull, silk press frizzing at the edges from the humidity, dark circles under my eyes. I barely recognized the woman looking back. This was my lowest point. Not the overdraft, not the lights turning off, not even the forged signature. This, standing in a bright, sterile bathroom at work, realizing my family would rather risk my livelihood than face their own reflection. I don't know how long I stared at that mirror before something small but sharp clicked into place inside me. It wasn't anger. I had felt anger before. This was different. It was like someone finally turned the lights on in a room I'd been stumbling through for years. A sentence my therapist had said drifted back. Ending a financial entanglement isn't abandonment. It's self-preservation. I looked myself in the eye and whispered, "I choose me." It sounded corny, like something off a motivational poster, but my chest loosened a little when I said it. That night, I didn't go to my parents' place. I didn't pick up when Nora called, or when Mama's texts rolled in with Bible verses and guilt. Instead, I went home, locked my door, and pulled out every receipt, every bank statement, every notice. I spread them across my small kitchen table like a crime board. Housing for them, utilities for them, car payments, tickets, phone bills, extra grocery runs before holidays, so they could have a spread that impressed visiting cousins. I saw my 20s written in numbers and due dates. I felt that familiar wave of shame try to creep in. Shame that I had let it get this far, shame that I had been weak. Then another thought rose up, clear and defiant. They should be ashamed, not you. Once that thought landed, everything else sped up. I made a list, on real paper, pen scratching fast, of every account where my card was on file for them. Every autopay, every login they had ever touched. One by one I logged in and changed passwords. I removed cards. I set alerts that would ping only my email, not theirs. When I reached the charity account, I sent a firm message. I did not authorize any use of my name as a sponsor. Please remove me immediately from all documentation. Any digital signature attributed to me is fraudulent. Then I did the thing I had been scared to do since that first text from the landlord. I drafted a message to the family group chat. My fingers trembled once, then stilled. "I have been paying your bills for years," I typed. "Rent, utilities, car notes, phone, tickets, groceries. I have done this quietly because I believe that was what family does. Effective in 30 days, all payments in my name will stop. Attached are copies of everything I have paid so you can see the full picture. You are adults. You are capable of handling your own responsibilities." I attached the files. Hit send. The familiar dots started dancing almost immediately. Mama. Simone, what is this supposed to mean? Daddy. Money is not the same as family. Don't weaponize it. Nora. You sick for doing this just to embarrass us. How I'm supposed to get to work without my car? Aunties and cousins chimed in as they always did, some defending me in half sentences, others telling me I was doing too much, that I should honor my parents. I read every message and felt detached, like I was watching a stage play I had already seen too many times. This time I didn't jump in to fix the script. I replied once. "You told a charity I was your financial sponsor without my consent," I wrote. "You signed my name. You emailed my job accusing me of misconduct." That crossed every line. I am not discussing this further. Mama called. Daddy called. Nora called from 3 different numbers when I blocked the first 2. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, laid it face down on the kitchen counter, and turned on some old-school R&B low, just loud enough to drown out my anxiety. I cleaned my apartment. Not the frantic, prove I'm useful cleaning my mama did, but my own slow ritual. Dishes, counters, a little sage by the window because my coworker had said it helped her clear bad energy. By the time I finished, the air felt lighter. A few hours later, there was a knock at my door. For a second, fear spiked. What if it was them with spare keys I didn't know about? But when I looked through the peephole, it was Uncle Grant, hat in hand. I opened the door a crack. "Hey, UNC," I said cautiously. He nodded, eyes kind. "Hey, baby girl," he said. Behind him were 2 medium boxes taped neatly. "I brought you a few things." I let him in. He set the boxes down by the couch and stepped back like he didn't want to take up too much space. He smelled like sweat and Irish spring, like work and fresh showers. "They cleaning out some closets over there," he said. "Your mama and daddy told me to throw out anything old or extra. But I saw your name on some of it. Figured you should decide." I opened the first box. Inside were things I had bought them over the years. A blender still in the packaging, a nice white comforter, unopened kitchen towels, a router they never installed because the neighbor's Wi-Fi worked fine. Little upgrades I thought would make their lives easier. Little proofs of love. All of it shoved into a box like clutter. My throat tightened. "Thank you," I said. He watched me for a moment, then said quietly, "They mad right now. Saying all kinds of wild things. But I saw those papers you laid out at dinner. I know you telling the truth." Tears stung my eyes. "They emailed my job," I whispered. "Told them I was stealing." His jaw clenched. "That's foul," he said. "You ain't deserve that." He shifted his weight. "Look, I can't fix them. They gotta walk their own path. But don't you let 'em make you feel crazy for protecting yourself. You hear me?" I nodded, unable to speak. He gave my shoulder a quick, awkward squeeze, then left. When the door clicked shut behind him, the apartment felt both emptier and safer. Over the next few days, the fallout hit. My mother sent one last text. "If you do this, you dead to me." I stared at it for a long time, waiting for the familiar ache, the terror of being cut off. It didn't come. Just a dull sadness and a strange spreading relief. "I'm sorry you feel that way," I replied. "I hope you all figure things out. I'm done funding it." Then I blocked the group chat entirely. I went to my bank in person, sat across from a tired-looking woman with box braids and gentle eyes, and explained the situation. She helped me dispute fraudulent charges where she could, set up alerts, and close one account that had too many hands on it. At work, I forwarded the email from my mother to HR myself, adding my own explanation and the documentation I had shown my family. My supervisor called me back in. "I appreciate your transparency," she said. "We're putting a note in your file that this is a personal matter, and not a reflection of your performance. If they contact us again, we'll direct them to you instead of escalating." For the first time in weeks, I exhaled without my chest hurting. One evening, I sat across from my therapist in her small office with the soft lamp and the faint smell of peppermint tea. I told her everything. The key, the mail, the forged signature, the email to my job, the boxes from Uncle Grant, the final text from my mother. She listened, nodding, occasionally asking a question that made me dig deeper. When I finished, drained, she smiled gently. "How do you feel right now?" she asked. I thought about it. Really thought. "Lighter," I said. "Scared. Guilty sometimes. But lighter." "Peace can feel dangerous when you've lived in chaos," she said. "Your nervous system is used to crisis. Silence feels like something's wrong. But what if this quiet is actually safety?" That word, safety, settled over me like a soft blanket. The last loose threads of doubt started to untangle. In the weeks that followed, my life didn't suddenly become magical. Bills still came. My account still felt tight while I paid off the debt I had racked up saving other people. Sometimes I woke up in the middle of the night convinced I had made a terrible mistake, that I would die alone and ungrateful, like my mother predicted. But then I would walk into my living room and see no plastic on my carpet, no random bills with someone else's name on them, no family sitting at my table going through my life like a clearance rack. I would make myself breakfast, grits with butter and salt, scrambled eggs, toast, sit at my little table and realize everything around me had been paid for by me, for me. One humid Saturday morning, I turned on gospel like my mama used to do and started cleaning. The smell of bleach and Fabuloso filled the air. But this time the ritual was mine. I sang off-key, laughed at myself, opened the windows to let in the New Orleans air. My phone sat in the bedroom on silent. No one asked for anything. No one criticized how I folded towels. Halfway through wiping down the kitchen counters, I paused. The image hit me. That first day, coming home to my family in my apartment, going through my mail like they owned me. And then now me alone in the same space, finally owning myself. I leaned against the counter and let the feeling wash over me. Satisfaction. Sadness. Freedom. All tangled together. I picked up one of the unopened kitchen towels from the box Uncle Grant had brought, cut the tag off and hung it neatly on my stove handle. A small thing, But mine. As the choir on the radio swelled, I whispered, "What happens in this house stays in this house," then smiled because for the first time, that felt like a blessing instead of a threat. If these words move something inside you, join the family. Hit subscribe and tell me your city in the comments. I want to see the map light up. You never know who's scrolling through these comments looking for a sign that they're going to be okay. And your voice could be that sign. We tell these stories to build a bridge for the next person to cross. Watch your back, trust your intuition, and never underestimate the weight of the decisions you make today. They matter more than you know. You with me?